So, how we doing? Bit of an outside broadcast, GFDI podcast. Got somebody very special to say hello to you all.
I can't get over you, Pinky. He's filming.
Is that what it is? I don't know what actually. I thought you were taking a selfie.
A documentary on live long and prosper.
There you go.
He's so private.
He's a private guy, isn't he? But what do you say about him? There you go.
What do I say about him?
Yeah. Look who it is.
Oh, he's a cunt.
Who, you or Dolly?
Both of us. He's a superstar, isn't he, really? He took me out of the ship when I got to Buchan.
Took you under his wing.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Have you been under there ever since?
No, because when he disappeared from the services, and everybody pretty much lost contact with him.
Yeah.
And I say it was about 5-6 years ago. I managed to get back in touch with him through Rab Russell, and Rab and Dolly and myself were all part of the Buchan mountaineering team, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then we've involved Sue as well, Sue Gilroy.
So have you caught up quite a few times then in the sort of time between then and?
Not as much as I'd like to, but because obviously Dolly's at the top of Scotland and I'm down in Leeds.
Yeah.
And then COVID kicked in, so I actually went up to Elgin and met up with him there. We all went out for dinner with Rab, and when we had a few whiskies, and then I've been up again, and we had a house party at Rab's house.
Yeah.
Rab's missus was going away, and he organised to have a little party because JR, Rab's brother, came up as well from. He lives I don't know, just north of Edinburgh, so he came up. But he used to come on the mountaineering trips with us.
Yeah.
All the time. So for Buchan.
So what?
A little family with it.
So what? Obviously, with the podcast, there's a load of people have asked for him to come on, right? And we know we've had the discussion, right? He's not up for, However, we've got a chance to catch him and ask him some questions on the walk, on this beautiful walk that we're on. So you know him. You've been in his life. What should we ask him? I've got a load of questions that I want to ask him. But what is that? So one of the questions I like asking people is, tell us something about yourself that not many people know. Now, there's probably a lot about his life that not many people know because of how long it's been since people have seen him. But what is the one thing that we should try and just get from him today? What do you think? What would you like to see? Because you'll probably be speaking on behalf of a whole load of other people that want to hear what he's been up to.
Dolly's he's been a pretty much integral part of my young adulthood. And if it wasn't for him, to be honest, I'd probably be in jail now. I'm not far from being in jail anyway, but I'd probably be really in jail. The guy took me out of a bad place and put me in a good place and on the hills, an environment that I grew up on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's lots of other people that he's played a significant part in their life and done as much good for them as he's done for me.
Yeah.
So for those people out there that haven't had the opportunity, I just think it's nice for them to be able to see him, see how he's doing, and seeing that he's still alive and kicking, and that he's still
chavving away
and banging the hills out. Yeah. He's 83 and he's just banging the hills out like we are today.
Yeah.
He might not be able to do them as quick, but he's still there, and he's still doing it with a smile.
Well, there we go. It's good to have a smile on your face, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We'll come back. We'll come back and have another word with you in a little bit, shall we?
Better wait from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, ex-flight sergeant Dolly Deakin.
Well, going back to when I had to register for National Service, and I'd gone to RAF Cardington in the August of 1960, because I should have done my National Service in 1958, but because I was serving an apprenticeship, I was deferred.
Right.
Well, they decided to do away with National Service in 1960, and unless you were born in the January of 1939, you didn't have to do your National Service. And of course I was born in the January, and all my mates were laughing, you know, you're going away, you know, that sort of thing. And I'd just gone on to the big money at the end of my apprenticeship, £7 a week, and I was going to have to serve 2 years National Service on 28 shillings, £1.40 a week. And I thought, I can't exist on this. So I reported to Cardington, and I wanted to be a dog handler because I'd seen the film about Rin Tin Tin.
You were going to be a dog handler.
Yeah, so anyway, there's this squadron leader and this strange machine with flashing red, green and yellow lights, like traffic lights but horizontal. And Christ knows, to this day I don't know what I was supposed to make out of them, but anyway, whatever it was, I failed. So the squadron leader said, well, young man, he said, you need to go home and think about what else you might like to do, and then come back and let us know. So I thought, sod you, I'm going to join the paratroopers. So I goes home, and my old man says to me, what are you doing back here? And I said, I failed the test, I can't be a dog handler, so I'm going to join the paratroopers. You see? So he said, over my dead body, he said, you'll go back and you'll go into the RAF. They get sheets, the army only gets blankets. So I went
So that
back.
was that.
Yeah. So I went back and they said, air defender. You became an air defence operator, as it was then. And I imagined this was feeding rounds into a Bofors gun or something like that. So I thought, oh, this is the thing.
This is the life.
Instead of which, as you know,
They give you a
it's
China
life
graph.
of being a mole, and yeah, and you were armed with China graphs. So then I was stationed after me trade training. I did the basic at RAF Bridgenall, my trade training at RAF Compton Bassett, and in the November of '60 was posted to RAF Patrington in East Yorkshire. The nearest town was Withensea, and it was 18 miles outside of Hull. So I was having a good time there. I was a young man, and there were lots of young ladies about, etc. And I thought to myself, this is a life, I'll just do another 2 years. Signed on for another 2 years. 2 weeks later, I'm on a train heading north for Edinburgh, Glasgow, Fort William, Mallaig, ferry to Stornoway, Land Rover from Stornoway, round to the west coast of the island of Lewis, a place called Gallen Head, and I was stationed at RAF Air Urig.
Ah, right, okay.
And I was there for 6 months,
Yeah,
and I was on fire picket for the first week,
yeah.
and I remember looking out of the fire section to this window, looking down into what they called Tin Can Bay, tears pouring down my cheeks, thinking myself, oh, I've come to the end of the world. You know? Life isn't worth living.
This is what it's come to.
Yeah. And he said, yeah. I said, well, I can't see how. I said, it was bloody immaculate. I said, they even done over the door, so if the captain wore white gloves, you wouldn't get any dust anywhere. He said, your curtains. I said, what about them? They were both open, neat with the pleats and that. Oh, but they hung below the window ledge. I said, what do you mean they hung below the window ledge? You're supposed to fold the bottoms, lay them on the window ledge. And I hadn't done it. I didn't know. So anyway, there was we had an RAF warrant officer there, air trafficker, who was a stroppy bugger. I didn't particularly like him, but we're having our nosh this night. And I just happened to mention, I said, I found that captain's round this morning, and I said, I left my room immaculate. I said, but I hadn't folded the bottom of the curtains so they lay on the window ledge. He said, you found the captain's round? Right. So he went to the purser, gave him a bollocking, and then the captain was, I think he was a lieutenant commander. Went up to his office, knocked on the door, boom. In the RAF, our senior NCOs are regarded as being responsible and able to keep their rooms clean and tidy. Our senior NCOs' rooms are not inspected. We're on a naval establishment, but nevertheless, petty folding of curtains on the window ledge, you know, and he really had a go at this bloody lieutenant commander.
So he got it.
Yeah, and as I say, I didn't like this bloody air traffic warrant officer, but I must admit, right, I was very grateful to him because he put them right.
Yeah. And that was it.
Oh yeah.
That was Prestwick.
Yeah.
But they are a different breed than Navy, aren't they?
Oh yeah. What they called the Mac ships they used to have at Prestwick, which were the American transport aircraft.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And this bloke had been out this night, and he'd been on a piss of sailor, and he came back with two absolutely rat-assed Americans. Anyway, he sat down, and I thought, right, fuck, they'll be for it in the morning. Following morning, I said, what happened to so-and-so? Did he get done? No, what for? I said, well, last night. I said he would have been hung, drawn and quartered if it had been in the RAF. No, he said, that's Christmas and just high spirits. And I thought, great, and this was a contradiction with the bloody Navy.
You see, did we not have that contradiction with the officer ranks as well, where whenever anything would happen with him, it was always high spirits?
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that happened.
And if we did it, it was insubordination.
The only time it didn't happen was, and I don't know if you were there, I can't remember what year it happened, was when one of the WAFs reported to Doc Sutherland, and she'd got, should we say, pubic itching. And it turned out she'd got crabs. So they wanted to know.
I remember this.
What had happened was, you remember the salmon net inn, where it didn't matter your rank, down in what we called, remember we used to call that area the Gorble, and the salmon net inn was the sort of all ranks
Oh,
club.
the hollows.
Yeah,
The
that's
hollows.
it, hollows, yeah.
Yeah.
See, we used to call it the Gorbles originally. But anyway, she had to name who she'd been with, you know, basically on medical grounds. And it turns out it was the Royal Navy lieutenant.
A lot.
There was an RAF officer. Anyway, what happened was, when it all came out,
metallic green,
the RAF
sort of double lightweight steel frame
was
hanging in his garage.
posted to
And I
me
took
to
all
say
the salvageable
straight away,
components off his
and subsequently
off the
discharged.
bike that he died on.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
I
A few
lucky
years
looking for
later,
the dabbers
I came
actually
back
for
on a
£500
visit
I
to
managed to get
Buchan,
myself a fully
going
operated
through
RAF.
where you hand in your passes and that,
Yeah.
and who's coming out from a liaison visit? This Navy Lieutenant, now Lieutenant Commander. And I thought, there he goes, you know, if you're an RAF officer,
Yeah.
be playing naughty, you get kicked out.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Commander, or Naval Lieutenant, you get promoted.
Get promoted.
Couldn't believe it. Because he said to me, hello Dolly, because he was one of these naval officers you could talk to.
Yeah.
And I said, hello sir, good to see you. And I said, in Peterhead, even if you come from Aberdeen, you were a bloody foreigner.
That's right. Yeah. That was, I remember that was one of the things that first shocked me when I arrived, was because I thought being Scottish
Yeah, yeah.
and arriving in, you know, in Peterhead,
Oh,
that
no.
we were all, but
In the blue town,
oh yeah,
you're a foreigner.
but it made no difference. I was
No.
still a RAFER bastard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was, what do you remember, sort of around about that sort of turn of the early 90s? What do you remember most about those days at Buchan?
Thinking to myself,
What are the standout sort of memories?
well, standout memory is, I thought I've only got a few more years to do, and I'm living these last years for myself.
Yeah.
And I got attached on exercise north something to Australia for 4 months, and I spent 4 months in Australia with a 114 Karoo control and reporting unit,
Oh yeah.
and it was a mobile radar, and we drove round 2/3 of Australia in a mobile convoy. And every night when we stopped, the adjutant and the convoy officer used to have a discussion. We were supposed to put up tents of a night, you see, but every night when we stopped, not a bloody cloud in the sky, and the adjutant would say to the flight Louis, looks like rain again sir, don't you think? Not sure Edge, what do you think? Well, I reckon it's going to rain sir. Right, into a motel.
What did they say? That the army dig in,
Yeah,
the navy sail in, and the air force check in. Is that right?
yeah.
We're peeking out the top.
I left my tin helmet down there. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'm behind you.
I'm behind you.
LACY.
That was when I was shot by a Boer during the Boer War.
What about constrictor? Or was it just a right board?
Right, Boer.
Found some chinographs.
Okay, I've got my changa. Right.
Two hands.
Cheers, Gary.
Yeah, yep.
What's your name? Alma? Trish? Right, here I go. Coming now.
Legend.
So it's, now just rubbish.
Shows the difference. When I came up here with my 20-year-old, he was always like, nah, I can't go in there.
I was thinking twice about it, definitely.
Hold on, Dolly, one step at a time, lad.
The German Air Force, sort of mapping their movement. So yeah, it was just a.
Yeah, I can remember saying to that.
All everywhere.
I can remember saying to that German,
All everywhere.
for you,
All over.
Heine, the war is over.
Ventilation probably holding it there.
Well done, bud.
I say, chaps, what a spiffing. Oops. Oh, who's dropped something? Or is that Oh, it's just that's something's torch.
No, no, it's a can.
Oh.
Yeah.
Somebody's been down before us then.
No light switch. In fact, there is.
Somebody else coming down?
It's gone. Well done, mate.
Well done.
Put some of your feet somewhere stable.
It's just bloody frustrating, that's all. If I didn't have the general fitness and the energy, I could accept it. But I think I've got bags to get up and go. But coming down, it's slow down and fucking, sorry, shouldn't swear, and stop.
Well, just suck it in, mate. It's not a big issue, is it?
Well, I didn't suck it in, I sniffed it.
Here we go.
You alright, Captain?
I'm not a captain.
Oh, yeah,
Remember,
you used to work for a living.
I have air rank. Supreme Commander, Allied Powers, Buchan. Get it right, Airman.
That's you, Tom.
He's holding again. Heels together.
Oh. Discipline that young airman.
They're going. Which way are they going?
Right wheel.
Right, Will.
Go.
This is what Karl and I were saying earlier on. I asked him if he would. I asked him if he'd do a little bit of an introduction for you.
Yeah.
He said, "What can I say about
A leg end.
Oh, you
Well,
see,
you get his foot, and then you get his knee, and then you get his thigh. So you got the foot, you can say you got the leg end, or at the thigh, you can say you got the leg end.
what he was saying, and I think that I need to, on behalf of anybody that watches this video that we've been doing,
Before I interrupted you, yeah.
what Karl had said, and I think what everybody that's watched the podcast that I've done and asked about how you're getting on, nobody's, heard from you, how is he, that word that you said, and they do pronounce it legend, because what Karl said when I asked him to do the introduction was, I think he said, if I hadn't met Dolly, I would probably be in jail now.
Oh.
Now, there are probably, maybe that's one end of the spectrum, Karl, right?
Yeah, well the thing is, they wouldn't take him because the bloody jail was full at the time, wasn't it?
However, the point is, I wonder, all these years later, whether or not you have any idea how much you impacted people's life back, yeah, and have continued to all these years.
Frankly, my dear, I haven't a clue.
Well, there you go. We're just telling you. People are asking for you. People are, you're held in very, very high regard. Very high regard with people that only knew you for a brief time.
This is not false modesty, but I've got no idea why, because half the time I was in the Air Force, I was just in the Air Force for my benefit, not for the benefit of the Air Force.
But it's how you portrayed your role. You weren't authoritarian.
Oh,
yeah? You weren't a bully. You didn't abuse people. You were just genuinely decent and honest and treated people with respect.
I used to base myself a bit on Windsor Davis. And if that ain't half hot, mum, sergeant. And what a lot of people didn't realise was I was taking the piss out of it, if you know what I mean.
But you were able to do that and still get a message across.
Yeah.
Even if it took some people like me 20 odd years to listen to when you were trying to help them out. But
all in all, you knew that generally the people that you were dealing with weren't bad, they were just immature. And I'd been immature in my first years in the RAF.
Did you get into some scrapes, did you?
I got into some scrapes, but mostly I was able to get myself out of them, so to speak.
Okay.
The only time twice I got done. One was I was coming back from leave, and I was at King's Cross Station, and the train to Hull left at 12:10 of the night time. And for some reason, for the winter timetable, it changed to 10:12, and so I missed the train.
Oh yes.
Got back to RAF Driffield where we were detached, and Master Pilot Kalina, a Polish aircrew, you know, served in the Air Force during the war, he was our boss, and everybody called him Joe Kalina, and I didn't even know that he was actually warrant officer rank. And I used to hear people talking about Joe. So anyway, he calls me into the office when I got back to Driffield, and he says, "Deacon, you are 4 hours and 38 minutes late." And I said, "Yeah, sorry about that, Joe." You see, I said, "I misread the timetable," you see. And he says, "First of all, LACY Deacon, my name is, to you, is not Joe. I am Master Pilot Kalina." And I thought he was joking, so I said, "Yeah, okay, Joe." Anyway, I got 4 days Jenkers, and I was in the guard room at Driffield, and it was white capped, snow dropped. RF police used to run the guard rooms then.
Oh yeah.
And I had to polish this bloody floor, and I polished it and I finished it, and you had to walk on bits of blanket, you see. And this RAF copper, we still had hobnail boots in the 60s, in the early 60s, right? He walks across this bloody floor dragging his hobnail boots. That's not done. Look at them. And there was no way I would have got them scratched out, but there I am for another 2 hours,
Yeah.
polishing that blooming floor, I will say politely. Anyway, that was me 4 days Jankers for that.
Yeah.
And then when I was up at Air Durig, you got the Liberty bus. That was it was normally the back of a 3-tonner that took you down to Stornoway on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it goes down to Stornoway this night into the, I think it was the Royal Hotel or the Crown, I can't remember now, but it was along Cromwell Street, and you're in there, and I had a few bevies, and then I met this, what I would then have referred to as a bird, young lady, and I took her home and saw her to a door, and that was it. Thank you very much and good night. And I thought, oh bloody hell, I've got to get back to station, and I'd missed the Liberty transport back, so I saw this push bike up the side of this house, so I took this push bike, starting to pedal back on the road to Air Durig, which was 28 miles away. Anyway, after falling into the ditches at the side of the road 2 or 3 times, I thought, oh sod this, so I chucked the bike into the peat and started walking back. Fortunately, this lorry came along and it slowed down, and this bloke said to me, "Where are you going to, son?" And I said, "I'm going to RAF Air Durig." He said, "Well, I'm not going there." He says, "But I can take you as far as Ard Royal." So I said, "Well, that'll do." So he took me there, and there was still 6 miles to walk. Anyway, I walked back.
Yeah.
Of course, I should have been on duty that morning, missed it. So I'm charged being absent from duty,
Yeah.
and my boss, Flight Lieutenant Colden, said to me, "Right, okay, guilty as charged. LACY Deacon, you're confined to camp for the next 6 weekends." And I thought, yeah, and you will be on watch for those 6 weekends. And I thought, yeah, but the Liberty bus went on a Wednesday, so I thought, great.
So silver lining.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe me luck, you know. And if he'd have been aware of things, he would have said, "You're banned from 6 Wednesdays,"
Yeah.
and that would have been a disaster. Wouldn't have been able to go to the local dance. Wouldn't have been able to go into the pub.
So you see how you mentioned about walking.
Yeah.
Like you took the bike and you ditched it, but that 28-mile walk, that didn't seem to daunt you. Have you always liked walking? Because you've done a lot of it since you left.
Yeah,
the Air
but
Force,
apart from
haven't you?
anything else, I was still pretty pissed, shall we say.
Oh, so you had that alcohol blanket on.
Yeah, I didn't feel any pain.
But you've done a lot of walking since you left, haven't you?
Oh yeah, well,
climbed a few hills out here.
yeah, well I had to give up the running because of the problems in my car. And so as I say, Tony O'Connor's wife,
Sue.
yeah, she was the, what did you call it, physiotherapist. She said you should take up walking. Swimming. And I said, no, I bloody hate swimming. And then, do you remember Sergeant Russell, Brad Russell, the medic?
Yeah.
It was him that said to me, why don't you come hill walking with me and my brother? So that was it. And that's what got me onto it.
Yeah. So how many MUNROS you climbed?
All of them. Plus the 4 English equivalent, plus the 15 Welsh equivalent, and the 14 Irish Republic equivalent. So I've done a lot.
What a man.
Yeah. Riding through the glen, Robinson and his merry men. You don't know my full title, do you?
No.
Lord Dolly Deakin.
Lord.
Yeah, Lord Dolly Deakin. Clown Prince of Paddington. Big Noise of Bishop Briggs. Baron of Bulmer. And Laird of Buchan.
Oh, Laird of Buchan.
Oh yes. I've integrated with the natives. See you bloody RAFER.
How did that Bishop Briggs nickname come about?
Well, that's where I was stationed in Bishop Briggs. It used to be what they called a bomb plot.
Yeah.
And as I say, that's where I met my wife at Bishop Briggs. So I decided to call myself the Laird. Actually, I've cocked that up because originally it was, what was it, Clown Prince of Paddington, Baron of Bulmer, Laird of Erdewey.
Oh, Laird of Erdewey.
Big Noise of Bishop Briggs.
Yes.
But never mind. You can't remember all these things.
Stride run up here.
Oh yeah, I'd have run up here for training.
Careful.
This is the life. The open hill for me, 'tis the only way.
You alright, mate?
Yeah, fine, mate. Here.
Yeah, good.